morning children. Today in our physics 8th class chapter 4 metals and non-metals which we are going to discuss. Here before we are going to learn about this, let us see that what is meant by a material. Materials comes under matter. Materials comes under matter. Matter is nothing but which occupies space and which is having the mass. Matter is having any substance which is having the mass and which occupies space comes under matter. Normally they can exist in three different states. One is solid state, second one is liquid state, and third one is gaseous state. So matter can exist in these three states. Now let us see that whatever the board I am writing on this comes under non-metal. And the frame, it is made up of metal. The scale, which is made up of plastic, which is comes under non-metal. And the pen, non-metal. Duster is also plastic, non-metal. This silver, it is a metal which is having its own shine. If you take this row which is comes under non-metal. This jewelry here, if you see, this is gold, it is a metal. We are familiar with this metal. Next here, this red color stones comes under non-metal. Here if you observe that these are all non-metals only. Plastic, non-metal. But this is brass, comes under alloy. 2 or 3 metals along with a non-metal like carbon comes under alloy. Next, this is copper. This plate, it is copper metal. Next, this wood comes under non-metal. This stone also comes under non-metal. And here you observe it, these are the coal pieces. COAL, coal means boggu, which is having the carbon. This comes under non-metal. But the steel comes under alloy. Steel comes under alloy. And this calcium carbonate piece, peat we are calling Suddha Mukha, or what we can say Namu in Telugu. This comes under non-metal. About the physical and chemical properties of metals. Physical properties and chemical properties. In the physical properties, the first and foremost one is the lustre. LUSTURE. Lustre means shine. Lustre means shine. So almost all the metallic objects, they are having their own shine. See here, this is the gold bangle which is having the shine, metallic lustre, so it comes under metal. But bangles, if you observe it, they are also shining, but they are not comes under metal. They are non-metal. Let us take these also, they are having some sort of shine, but they are not considered to be as metallic lustre. They are not possessed with metallic lustre, so they are considered to be as non-metals. They are made up of glass material. Next, if we take the mirror, it is having the shine. So this comes under non-metal. This is the framework which is made up of plastic, comes under non-metal. Property of metals is sonority. Sonority means, see, if you are taking nearly 20 or 30 nails in your hand, by mistakenly if they drop off from your hand, they will make some sort of sonorous sound. Sonorous sound. So we used to find that bell, it is ringing after every 45 minutes in our school. If you observe that ayahs, they are just hitting one of the iron plate with a iron rod. Here in the temples we are able to find some bells like this. They are giving sonorous sound. Sonorous sound. Metals they will give sonorous sound. But we can't get the same kind of sound with two wood materials if you take. Sonorous sound we are not getting. Something different sound. So these two are not metals, but whatever bronze bell if you take, this comes under metal. Malleability means which can be just by go on hammering, which can be made into very thin sheet, that comes under malleability. If you take this sheet, metal foil, if you observe it, aluminium foil or silver foil, which we are giving for sweet decoration, silver foils they are using. And for packing the food material while we are going for a long journey, aluminium foil packed items we are taking. And this is very thin metal foil, So this property, metals only can be drawn into very thin sheets, gold, silver. Next, this type of other tin foil and all we are able to find. Non-metals. If you take non-metal like carbon, you go on hitting, will be grounded into powder. If you go on hammering, because they are having brittle nature. That is what it will be made into pieces. Ductility means which can be drawn into very thin wires. If you take this wire, and here we are able to find that copper wire, very thin wire. In the goldsmith, if you visit any goldsmith shop, there they will take the small piece of gold, go on hammering, and they will make the thin wires like this, gold, silver and copper. Especially in the copper cables we are able to find. Even in the aluminium cables also, they will be drawn into very thin wires. That property we are calling it as ductile property, drawn into very thin wires. Let us take the bulb. If it is connected with the copper wire, bulb with what we can say, this is the battery, and the bulb will be connected with copper wires, then when the circuit is closed, the bulb starts glowing. So that indicates that it is conducting the electric current. Without copper wire or any other metal wire, it is not possible. So here electric conductivity, whether they can conduct electric current or not means almost all the metal they can conduct electric current. Especially in the cables and all, they are using copper wires and aluminium, these two. Heat conductivity. For that, let us take one retard stand. So this is the metal rod fixed with the help of a clamp, and let us take one spirit lamp. Start heating this end of this particular metal rod. If it is copper rod, and iron nails, let us take iron nails with the help of wax. If you attach, this is nail 1, 2 and 3. When you start heating this rod, so here onwards heat will be transmitted in this direction, and first this iron nail it falls down, next this nail, next this nail. So in a line they will fall off. That shows that electric conductivity. If you start heating this end, slowly the heat molecules they used to travel in this direction, make these whatever the iron nails which are attached to the copper rod or iron rod or any other aluminum rod, whatever the metal rod if you take, if you attach after heating the rod at one end, other end, slowly the iron nails they will fall off. This indicates that heat conductivity. Metals they can conduct heat even, and they are hard enough. If you touch any metal, it is hard to touch. It is very hard to touch any metal, copper or any other metal if you take, they are hard to touch. But they are at room temperature, they are in the solid state. But only one metal which is in the liquid state is mercury. If you observe the thermometer, it is a mercury metal. See, you can able to see here, this is what mercury, liquid at room temperature. This is also a metal, but it which can exist at room temperature in the liquid state. Hard, and exception is soft metals are sodium metal and potassium metal. These two are, Na means natrium, K means calcium. Na means natrium, sodium, and calcium means potassium. These two metals they are soft. Other all the metals like Au means gold, Ag means silver, Cu means copper, Fe means iron. These are all. Al means aluminium. These are all the known metals to us. They are hard in nature. At room temperature, most of these metals they are, almost all the metals they are in the solid state. They are in the solid state. Only one metal which is existing in the liquid state is mercury. Its symbol is Hg, hydrargyrum in Latin. Hydrargyrum means mercury, which we can able to find in the thermometers, clinical thermometer or laboratory thermometer. We are able to find this metal, liquid metal. Now let us discuss the chemical properties of metals. See, in the chemical properties, reaction of metals with oxygen. Metals, whether they can able to react with oxygen or not. Let us take one magnesium ribbon. Magnesium ribbon. Mg means magnesium, symbol of magnesium represented with Mg, and the ribbon will be like this in the laboratory. After the school reopens, let us do this experiment. So if you take this end and with a sandpaper, if you rub against this whatever the rusty part, and if you start lighting it, we used to get that white dazzling flame. To start burning with white dazzling flame. It is nothing but kallu mirimitlu kolpe kanti. When its ignition temperature is greater than room temperature, it will take 2 to 3 minutes, and then after catching the fire, it gives that white dazzling flame. And if you take a test tube and whatever the ash collected, when the magnesium wire is burnt, ash if it is collected in a test tube and you add some of the distilled water to it, distilled water to that ash, and then take one red litmus paper to it. Dip one red litmus paper to it, into it, and slowly it changes into blue color. Slowly this red litmus paper changes into blue color. color, this indicates that it forms one basic solution. For that, equation is when magnesium reacts with oxygen gives rise to magnesium oxide. It is not a balanced equation. So let us take two molecules of magnesium combines with one molecule of oxygen gives rise to two molecules of magnesium oxide. That magnesium oxide, when it is dissolved in water, gives rise to magnesium hydroxide. Magnesium hydroxide. So because of this, it changes that red litmus paper into blue color. This is basic in nature. This is alkaline or basic in nature. Next, let us take some sulfur powder. Sulfur, its symbol is S, capital S, and which is taken in a bowl, and then start burning it off with the help of matchstick. So you are able to find some sort of smoke. The smoke is collected in another container, and in that if you add some water, then if you put one blue litmus paper into this solution, slowly it changes into red color. Blue litmus changes into red color because it is acidic in nature. In the above reaction, red litmus changes into blue color. In the case of magnesium hydroxide. But when we take the sulfur powder in a small bowl, and then if you burn it, the vapors will be collected in the other container, and in that if you add some water, if you remove this and add some water to it and put one blue litmus paper into that, it slowly changes into red color because of acidic nature. Let us see the reaction. When sulfur combines with oxygen, sulfur dioxide gas will be produced. This is sulfur, this is oxygen. When these two combine with, sulfur is at room temperature solid state, oxygen is in the gaseous state, and sulfur dioxide gas also gaseous state. So when it reacts with water, sulfur dioxide, when it reacts with water, H2SO3, sulfurous acid will be formed. Sulfurous, it is weak acid, this acid will be formed. So in that, if you keep the blue litmus paper, changes into red color. Here if you observe that some of the nails are there in my hand, some of the iron nails are there in my hand, already they got rust. Rust means when the iron combines with oxygen and moisture which is there in the atmosphere, so then there is a formation of rusting. It is a slow reaction. To avoid this rusting, normally some of the metal articles they are painted like this. Already this knob it is having the paint to avoid rusting. To remove this rust, normally we are using sandpaper. This is what the sandpaper which is having the rough surface. Earlier I have discussed that magnesium ribbon also, if you leave it, there is a possibility of getting a thin dull layer, dull coating over the metal. To remove that, we are using this sandpaper, so that if you go on rubbing, you can get that original metallic shine. You see that if I start rubbing, it is getting its original shine. If you remove the dirty rusty layer, then we can able to get its original metallic shine. It shows that lustrous nature. If we take gold and platinum, next silver, these are costly metals because their reaction with oxygen is very less and reaction with water also very less. That is what in regular usage the ornaments we are, jewelry articles we are using, it is highly expensive. Gold and platinum and silver, these two, they are expensive and demand is more in the market, because they will not react with oxygen which is there in the air, and they will not react with water. Even though we are just cleaning the utensils with water, water will not react with this gold metal, gold and platinum. Next here silver, if you take silver, when you purchase the article, it is having its own shine, but after using for few days later, it will get some dull layer will be formed on it. It is called tarnishing of silver because of sulfur compounds which are there in the air, so that can able to tarnish the silver articles. And pictures of see, this is what called as sonorous sound. Sonorous sound. This also metal only. See, it is having its own shine. This is having its own shine which is made up of metal. Lustrous nature it is having. And here if you observe that very thin copper wires, they are concealed in the plastic sheath, red color and this blue color. Inside very thin wires will be there. That is what ductile nature of copper we can say. This is the silver article. This is the silver article. Brand new means it is having its own shine. When it is mixed with some of the sulfur compounds, slowly it becomes dull layer will be formed on the silver article. Same silver which looks dull, because silver tarnishing we can say. When the sulfur combines with silver, we are able to find some black color layer will be formed. Next, this is the copper, which is packed copper, Cu copper, and the same copper vessel which is having some dull layer on that, because it is already having the rust over it. Gold and platinum, these two, they are expensive metals. They will not react with either with oxygen or water. That is what they are highly expensive. Now let us discuss about metals when they react with acids, what is going to happen. Here iron is a metal, its symbol is Fe. It is a metal. Copper is also a metal, symbol is Cu. Zinc is also a metal, so Zn is the symbol for it. But sulfur is a non-metal. Sulfur, phosphorus comes under non-metals. Sulfur symbol is small s. So it is a non-metal. Let us take 4 test tubes and iron filings in one test tube, copper filings in another test tube, zinc pieces in another test tube, and sulfur powder in other test tube. Sulfur powder in other test tube. And by adding that dilute sulfuric acid, few drops of sulfuric acid to be added to all the 4 test tubes. You observe that any change is occurred inside or not. Bubbles are coming out or any gas is released or not, you see to it. If not, slowly you heat it. Slowly you heat it. If the reaction is not taken place, you slowly heat the test tubes. If then also you are not finding any reaction inside, then instead of dilute sulfuric acid, let us take concentrated sulfuric acid. Concentrated sulfuric acid formula, H2SO4 is the formula for sulfuric acid. If it is not available, we can take hydrochloric acid even. HCl hydrochloric acid, H2SO4 sulfuric acid. DIL indicates dilute, CON indicates concentrate. If reaction is not happening, when you use that either dilute sulfuric acid or dilute hydrochloric acid, then you can take, basing on the availability, sulfuric acid concentrated or concentrated HCl. If you are able to find some effervescence or some sort of gas may be released. At that time, if you take one burning matchstick and put it nearby the test tube, what is going to happen? Let us see. Which gas is going to liberate. So when the metals, when they react with the acids, they normally release hydrogen gas. Whether the released gas is hydrogen or not, it gives that pop sound. Normally, it gives that pop sound and it puts out the flame. Let us take the equation. When zinc metal combines with two molecules of hydrochloric acid, gives rise to zinc chloride plus hydrogen gas. Zinc chloride plus hydrogen gas. So in this way, metals normally, these three are the metals. Metals, when they react with acids, they liberate hydrogen gas. So example is zinc metal. 1 mole of zinc metal combines with 2 moles of hydrochloric acid. Zinc chloride plus hydrogen gas will be liberated. This hydrogen gas only gives that pop sound. And then immediately it puts out the flame of this burning matchstick. This experiment we can do in the science laboratory. Reactivity of metals with other metals. One metal with other metals. Some of the metals, they react with other metals slowly. Some they may be very fast. Some they may not react at all. For that, let us take one activity. In that, 5 glass beakers we are supposed to take. 5 glass beakers. In that, this is the beaker 1. Let us take copper sulfate 50 ml in it. 50 ml of copper sulfate. CuSO4 means it is nothing but copper sulfate. Copper sulfate solution. And in the second jar also 50 ml of copper sulfate solution only let us take. Third jar 50 ml of zinc sulfate. Zinc sulfate to be taken. Formula for zinc sulfate is ZnSO4. And in the fourth jar take iron sulfate. Iron sulfate. Next, in the fifth jar, zinc sulfate. Zinc sulfate. This solution 50 ml let us take. And you add zinc granules, small pieces of zinc, you add it to that first beaker which is having copper sulfate solution. You observe that what is happening. If no reaction taken place, slowly, gently you shake the glass beaker and then you observe that what changes will occur. Next, you take that copper sulfate solution 50 ml in the second beaker and you drop some of the iron nails into it. Iron nails into it. You observe that is there any reaction taken place between iron nails and the copper sulfate solution. That observation you are supposed to write in your tabular form. Next, in the third beaker, let us take 50 ml of zinc sulfate solution and you add that copper turnings. Small pieces of copper pieces will be there, that you add it to the zinc sulfate solution. Whether any reaction taken place or not, you observe it. Next, in the fourth beaker, let us take 50 ml of iron sulfate solution. In that also copper turnings only you are supposed to drop it. And you observe your observations, any reaction has been taken place in between iron and copper filings. Now let us take that in the fifth beaker, 50 ml of zinc sulfate solution we have taken, and iron nails to be added to that. Iron nails, any reaction is taken place in between zinc and the iron nails, let us observe it. These are all the observations, you need to keep it in your tabular form. Now let us take that. What are the known metals to us? Metals means iron, which is familiar in many articles. We are using that iron. Nails to ships and all, they are made up of iron. Copper will be, nowadays everyone is using that drinking water after boiling and cooling, keeping in the copper vessel and they are drinking. Next, zinc metal. Zinc is also a metal. Au means arum, gold, and Ag means silver. These two are used for making ornaments or the jewelry articles. But here I have given some of the examples of non-metals. Sulfur is one non-metal. Its symbol is capital S. Carbon is another non-metal. It is having the symbol C. And iodine, capital I. Symbol is capital I. Now uses of, let us learn about the uses of non-metals. Here sulfur powder, light yellowish in color, and it will be used as gunpowder, and for making the Diwali crackers and all they are using it, and for making some sort of ointments it will be present. Next, in the fireworks also they are using the sulfur, which is a non-metal. Next, carbon, decolorizing agent to remove the color. Next, here activated carbon is used as decolorizing agent, and it is also used in water purification. Nowadays maximum people they are using the AquaGuard water filters, and after 1 year they used to come and change the refill, which is cylindrical in nature. Cylindrical refills will be there, they want to change it. Inside that carbon powder will be there. So carbon is used for filtration of water, it will be purifying the water, it will be useful. Next, iodine. Normally the people, those who are having the iodine deficiency in their diet, there is a chance of getting the goiter disease. To avoid that one, medical supplement it will be useful. And we are using that different varieties of salt, Annapurna, Captain Cook and all. On that wrapper, if you observe it, it is iodized salt. So iodine is used as a medical supplement. Next, phosphorus, which is also a non-metal, for making the matchsticks. This tip part, we are able to find that phosphorus tip part. Now let us learn about uses of metals. Here if you take iron, it will be used in agricultural tools. See, ploughing instrument and tractors and seed driller and all. For all these they are using iron. And table, chair, in our homes we are using. Next, copper, for making the utensils and all we are using the copper. Nowadays if you observe the kitchenware, for fast cooking and all, they are just using here copper bottom utensils. Here at least little part will be made up of copper. So the steel utensil which is having the copper bottom, so that it gets heated up very fast because of the presence of copper at the bottom. If we take the silver, we are using as a For making the ornaments and all we are using silver, and it is very good conductor of heat and electricity. And aluminum, which is having the lightweight for making the buckets, and different aluminum wires also will be useful in the cables. Next, copper and aluminum togetherly, they will be combined together and make the alloy, and for making the coins they are using 5 rupee coins and 10 rupee coins. Earlier we used to find that combination of copper with aluminum. Iron and zinc combination they are using for construction of big buildings and all, so that iron will not get rust when it is coated with zinc. That process only we are calling it as galvanization. For making the aeroplanes, aluminum with different metals they used to combine. Only aluminum means it is having lightweight, it's okay, but only the thing in the while it is flying in the heights, there is a course of frictional force which may burn it off. To avoid that, normally they are using nowadays Jora alumin. Jora alumin, it is stronger than aluminium and it is lighter than aluminium. So for making the aeroplane and aircraft parts and all, nowadays they are using the alloy called Jora alumin. Like that, metals we are using in our day-to-day life. And answer the assignment questions.